This is the Noordzee Canal gebied, and it's really the subject of a lot of drama right now. And we're looking across the canal at I believe at the Tata Steelworks factory. There's shipping, but there's also manufacturing because of its location on the canal. And if we were to turn around, we would see on the other side a village and beautiful dunes covered in grass and trees. So now we imagine a group of people that's as diverse as the landscape that we're seeing here. Residents who have health concerns, people from government who have responsibility for climate policy, people who come here for recreation or for the surfing, who are concerned about nature protection, people who work in the companies here. All of whom had conflicting goals, conflicting senses of the history, and different priorities. I do research on public conflicts and controversies. I don't do them abroad in faraway places, but I look at the kind of dramas that play out in Drenthe, in Limburg, and here in North Holland as well. What I like about doing this kind of research is the impact it has on people's lives and helping them to reach interdependence that really shapes their future. So we tried to start a process so that people would move a bit out of their own story and start to see that there were others with whom they shared the area, who had their own stories about what was important, about what was threatened, about how the future was uncertain, and what that meant for them. And to start to bring these stories to meet each other. I won't say to bring them together, but at least so they met each other and they could recognize each other. So we took them for a boat trip on the Noordzee Canal, in the middle of the area where all these things are coming together and where all the conflicts are, to get people to talk at a very low threshold, right? It didn't have to become intense, just about what they saw. But the idea was that in observing the landscape, they'd start to see where their interests were, how they interacted with others. And we had them observe with one partner and then draw what they saw together. And that worked. And they saw some things about how their lives, their aspirations were connected to each other, what I've called interdependence. So what we're not interested in this early stage is in solutions. It's way too early to think about that, but about talking with someone who doesn't share their perspective. And then they start to appreciate the complexity of the situation they're involved in and how they need each other to be able to move forward. And they're starting to get a sense of themselves as a community. Maybe a community that's divided, but still in some ways a community. So we thought it would be interesting to explore the power such a community could have if, despite their disagreements, their differences, they could work together. We intended to do this through a simulation that was based upon the conflict that occurred around the Tweede Maasvlakte. So it was a conflict over harbor development. And we sent the roles out to individuals. And residents got business roles, business people got the roles of nature protection. We mixed it up. And suddenly, overnight, our email inboxes were flooded. Phones were besieged by messages, because this is what had happened. As people read the roles that they would play, they got angry. They attacked the simulation. Some agreed to participate, but under protest. Others refused to participate because they couldn't separate a simulation from their own experience. They saw it as supposed to be the situation that they were in. But then another thing happened. As they explored to work at a practical level towards agreement, even the people who had refused to participate became interested in what had gone on in the simulation and how that might be incorporated into their work in the Noordzee Canal gebied. Conflict is the default. It's part of our lives. Conflict happens. And the question is how we address conflicts, not whether or not we have those conflicts. If we can't find ways to listen better, without becoming violent, I think we start to erode our capacity to live together, and that we look more and more towards institutions that exercise control over our liberty and that enforce solutions on us. The ability to sort of maintain the vitality of a democracy depends upon the ability to deal with conflicts without resorting to violence.